Hey friends, welcome to Sparks, a SoulFire series dedicated to showcasing leaders who inspire, ignite, and light the way for others. Each month, we highlight someone whose presence, wisdom, and work creates a ripple of impact in their community. Today's episode shines a light on one of those people. Josh is someone who helps people find clarity in an area of life that often feels overwhelming. Through the way he explains, guides, and shows up, he gives people something powerful: confidence. The kind that allows them to move forward, take risks, and step into what's possible for their lives. In this conversation, you'll hear his journey, the moments that have shaped him, the lessons he's learned, and the perspective that continues to guide the way he leads and serves others. So settle in, take a breath, and let Josh's story remind you of the power of clarity, confidence, and the impact one spark can have on others. Hi, Josh. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad. Congratulations on being our April Spark. That's really fun.
Yes, it's awesome. I'm honored to be here and looking forward to sharing my story.
Absolutely. So I just want to read your bio to the listeners so they have a little bit of a understanding of what you do and who you are. So I'm going to do that now and then we'll dive right in.
Perfect.
So for those who don't know Josh, Josh Montanez is the founder and lead wealth advisor for Montanez Wealth Advisors, a multidisciplinary financial planning firm in Northwest Arkansas. Josh and his team find enjoyment working comprehensively with specialists across multiple fields as the quarterback to their clients' financial plans. Originally from Little Rock, Josh graduated from the University of Arkansas and has loved supporting the Hogs ever since. Josh and his wife Caroline have a son and daughter, Ethan and Ava, who keep their hands full. And when not in the office, they enjoy traveling, cooking, raising awareness for Hydrocephalus Association. Did I say that right?
Hydrocephalus. Close.
Hydrocephalus.
Yep.
We'll talk about that in a minute. And then they love to also watch the Razorbacks. So again, welcome, Josh. I'm so glad you're here. Let's just get started with exploring a little bit about who you are and kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah. A little bit about me. Like the bio mentioned, I own a wealth management business, and a lot of my passion from a work standpoint drives around giving people clarity with their money and helping guide direction across that. I wasn't always doing that, of course, and I started this actually when I was 21. I was an intern, and this was kind of one of those like resume building internships that turned into a passion project of mine, and over time has this built and flourished into the business that it is today. And I would never change that for the world. The world is just very complex, and everyone is just on their own path. And something that I've really enjoyed is helping people connect their dollars to that path.
That's awesome. So, how long have you had your own business?
So we've been in business for going on 14 years now.
It's amazing.
Still what I consider the growth phase of the business, but no longer in that what am I doing phase. The clarity is way more there than it used to be. And the exciting part about it is the opportunity to have started it so early in my life that I have the ability to really build this thing into something over the next 20, 30, 40 years. And long term, I want this to be something that's enduring past me. And so that's something that we can talk about as well.
Yeah, building that legacy so that when you're no longer here or just no longer working, right? You're like, I want to retire, that it just keeps going. People have learned from you, which is so amazing. That's great. So, for people who are meeting you for the first time or listeners who don't know you or don't really understand what you do, how would you describe what you do?
Yeah, I think it starts with just understanding that money is very emotional and everyone is on their own path, a lot of times based on the experience they've had in the past. And so our job or our role for our clients is to help tie their goals and aspirations to their feelings and biases around their money, and help them to create some type of direction there, and making sure that the way that someone should plan is with the understanding on how they feel about those dollars. Are they aggressive? Are they conservative? Is there reasons for that? Just because your neighbor tells you to do something doesn't mean that's what's right for you. And so we work very heavily in helping our clients with their investments, with their insurances, and then just tying it all together with planning and having a trusted relationship that's guiding them along the way.
That's awesome. And I think for the listeners too, also, by the time this episode airs, we will have already aired at least one of the Money Matters series that we're doing with Josh and his company and with Christina, which will be cool because the listener will also get to hear the business side of what you do and help them understand that a little bit better and how what your office does could help them, you know?
Exactly.
That's great. Okay. Let's talk about like early influences. So, do any specific experiences stand out in your early life that sort of shaped who you are, or maybe even mentors that you had that were just a really strong influence on your leadership style?
Yeah, I think I look back now, and a lot of my friends' parents were business owners. So in one way, I might find myself enjoying this world because that's the world that I was raised in. Uh, but from a career standpoint, maybe the purpose-driven aspect of why I continue to do what I do, a lot of times a part of it has to do with the fact that helping clients accomplish goals is very fulfilling. That could be retirement or sending kids to college or paying off debt or whatever that might be. But really, where I found the most fulfillment and understanding is when I've had a client pass away and being able to have confidence in supporting the family going forward. Um, that's something that it's hard to explain how it makes you feel, but being able to be involved in those conversations and making sure that someone's looking out for them, that's huge for who I am today and really the work that I do.
That's so beautiful. And I think it's something people don't talk a lot about. So thank you for bringing that up. And I think just from my own personal standpoint, like just, within the last few years, my parents we've had those hard conversations like what happens to all of our properties and our life insurance policies and all these things when we go. And just from their own financial advisors, they've decided both of them to put stuff in a trust, which I think was huge to help us. And so I love that that is something that has shaped you.
Yeah, it's a big part of it, and it probably will always be in this business.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Are there any people, specific people, and you don't have to name them, but any specific people that were just like yes people in your life that either were super motivating, encouraging, or maybe somebody you interned with and you were like, this is what I want to do, sort of guided you there?
Yeah, and I think that's also a big part of what I mentioned earlier, where it's developed from just a job to a passion, and a lot of it really comes to the fact that I had a bunch of older advisors that took me under their wing, and the beauty of the business I'm involved in, a lot of the older advisors will share clients with you if you ask them, and so you get the opportunity to be involved on their team and see how they do things early on. That was huge for me. And understanding that this is not a business about making money, it's about making an impact, and seeing how selfless these people are, these other advisors are with their clients, and the things that they will do that a lot of times don't even have to do with your business title, to help these clients. That became a huge part of what I wanted to do with my career as well.
That's great. I think something that comes up a lot in our collective is that piece, helping others. Like, I do what I do because I want to support people, I want to help people. And it shows up in different ways across everybody, right? Like, everyone functions in different ways, has different businesses, has different purposes, but that all funnels back down to helping others. So, that is why you are our April Spark, Josh.
Yes.
That's awesome. Something you wrote in one of your responses about your leadership philosophy is you said, "My philosophy around leadership is based on the follow through." Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and that's something that I think will never be perfected. Constantly trying to get better and better at that part. But the the biggest thing is telling someone you're going to do something and then actually doing it. I think that's the biggest part about it. I mean, the amount of people that I've tried to go to in the past for leadership advice or for mentorship or whatever, and they'll give you some really great key things to know, and they're helpful. Don't get me wrong, but it's the ones that stick with you and that will continue working with you, going through whatever you need to help get it done. I think that's a really big part of it. And so for my clients or even for the people on my team, I think it's really important to be intentional about not just saying, hey, we're going to do these things or hey, we're going to help you with these areas, but really creating a structure and a plan and then sticking with it all the way through to the end. I think that's really a key piece to being a good leader.
So, has that always been your philosophy, or is that something like that's changed over time?
That probably is built off of years and years of falling on my face and failing on different ways to do things. I think it's interesting because I'm in a world where in my opinion anyone can do what I do, but it's we're busy. Everyone has their own path. Everyone has their kids and they have their jobs and they have their family and they have all these things they have to do. And so oftentimes the financial side can fall behind on the to-do list. But one of the things that I mentioned in my website is one of the number one causes of stress is money. And if you can create clarity around financial security, then everything else in life tends to be better. And so if we can do a really good job at helping people develop that security, that's me being able to lead in that direction.
That leads me actually of something you said. The person who nominated you, who is anonymous, but something they said, I just want to read it to you. So it says, "Financial stability was something I never truly understood. I didn't clearly know what I had, what I needed, or how it all fit together. And finances are a fundamental part of our basic needs. If you don't feel financially safe, it is incredibly hard to take risks, grow, or step into your full potential. Josh has a gift of explaining financial concepts in a way that actually makes sense, and he helps people see clearly what they have, what it means, and how to build from there." I thought that was beautiful, but that's really what you just described in terms of your leadership journey, too. Like, that is just like a perfect picture for me.
Yeah, that's great.
I think it's a testament. And I honestly, I could probably pull a number of your clients and they would probably say something very similar because that's who you are. Like, I'm not one of your clients, but just from this conversation, I know how you would help me. I know how you would show me. I know how you would teach me. And that's amazing. Like, just that's, I think, what most people want in a business partner too. Like, I want to be able to have a short conversation with you and know what I'm going to get out of this. I might not know the details or the exact end goals, but understanding who you are from a conversation and how you can help me is super important. And that's what I've already gotten from you. And so reading that nomination response is like just it's like your name and the description next to your name in the dictionary.
Well, I think not just for me, but that's what a leader. When I think of leadership style, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm still working on it. There's so much more that I want to learn and perfect, but I'm given the opportunity to learn about something that everyone needs to know, and so it is my responsibility to be able to dig in and do the research and find it out so that I can be better for you. And that's for not just my world, but your CPA should feel that way. Your attorney should feel that way. Your manager at work should feel that way. And if everyone does, then you should find yourself in a better spot long term as well.
Yeah. And I think the follow through is important on in all those areas too, because we do get busy. And I think having somebody who not only follows up with their clients, but a follow up with your team is important too, because they're learning as well. And so having that plan of how are we moving forward, what are our goals this year, but then the leader is intentionally following up with each person is so important. You might have touched on this a little bit, but can you think of like one lesson maybe that has been very important for you on your journey, your professional journey?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I was thinking about this question the other day, actually, and this might not even answer what you're talking about, but it always comes back to my head. It's this whole idea of green and growing and red and rotting. You hear about that, whether it's from like a plant standpoint, like a garden standpoint, or whatever it might be. But um, I want to always be green and growing because I think that's my responsibility to the people that I'm serving. And so that comes to me not just being a business owner for my clients or for my colleagues, but also for my family, for my kids, for trying to be a better husband. Constantly trying to figure out ways to improve on that side, and recognizing that I'm not going to have it all figured out. There's always more to learn. There's always more tweaks to be made, and that's also one of the exciting parts about the leadership path.
Yes. Yes. And it's important to, and especially in your role, like there are some jobs you can just learn the thing and then you know the thing, but then there's lots of jobs that you have to learn the thing and then it changes and you have to learn the thing and it changes and you just have to keep learning. And I think, finances are a huge part of that. And investing changes every day, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, and then once you figure it out, it's completely different. So you have to
Yep.
be okay with continuing to move forward, knowing that what you're figuring out doesn't probably matter in 2 years. It's completely different. It's got to keep recreating it along the way.
Yeah. But I think it creates a sort of excitement in your job too, right? Like it's never boring.
Yeah,
Everything
never.
is always changing.
Every day is different. Every client's got their own path, which really does make life enjoyable coming every day to work and constantly trying to help people improve just a little bit every day.
Yeah. Well, you brought up your kids and wife, and so I want to just touch base on your family life too, because you're not, newsflash, everyone listening, like you're not just a leader at your job, like you are a leader in your home as well. And that is important. That's an important role for you. So tell me just a little bit about your family.
So my son Ethan, he's 5, and Ava's 1. So little kids in the house every day is crazy. It's probably the craziest that it's been really at this point. My wife Caroline, she is with them right now at home. Uh, Up until recently, though, she was actually my partner in the business. She was working here with me for the last 8 years and helped me really build what we have today. That's also been a big transition part from a leadership standpoint is recognizing, how do you divvy that up and lead together at work and lead together at home. And then with a change like that, that's been a tough part to figure out. But she's doing an amazing job, and the kids are loving it. So that's good. From a family standpoint, I think it's just trying to make sure that I lead by example. I think that's the key. I'm sure there are people out there that are way better at handling tantrums and stuff like that out there, but it's also my responsibility as the father to continue to learn and figure out that side of things too. Um, the beauty of my career is I own my schedule, and on one side that means I can almost work too much if I'm not careful, but it also means that I can be there for the important things too. If I want to take off work for my kids' birthdays just to spend a day with them, I can do that. Or if I want to be there for that doctor's appointment, I can put on the calendar and I can be there. And so that's another big part uh, of my family relationship is I want to make sure that I'm readily available, which not everyone gets the ability to do that. I'm blessed to have the opportunity to be free when I need to be free.
Yeah, that's good. And that's especially for littles, it's just, it doesn't change there either. Like talking about learning every day, My kids are teenagers and older, and I'm still like, your personalities changed. Like, how does this happen?
Yeah,
And each kid is so different, you know? So you think like, oh, okay, I got one down, I understand. And then the next kid's completely different. So
that's what I'm learning. I'm figuring that out right now.
yeah. And with 1-year-old, like I'm sure the personality's starting to come out a lot and just yes, that's great. So in your bio, we talked about raising awareness for the association. So tell me a little bit more about that.
So hydrocephalus is something that my son has. It's a condition where your brain creates your spinal fluid. It's called cerebral spinal fluid. It's created up here, and then it kind of goes back into your spine. And some people have challenges with being able to control the creation and secretion. And if they're not appropriately level, then your head could swell, or it could shrink, or whatever it might be. And that's something that he has. We've put a lot of energy around raising awareness and funding for advancements in that space. And we actually, as a team, we hosted our first charity event last year, raised a bunch of awareness, raised some good money, and our goal is to continue to pour in more time and energy into the Hydrocephalus Association.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that because I think a lot of listeners probably don't know what that was. I didn't know what that was till I read your bio and had to, Google it and figure out what it was too. And so, is there a place people could find more information about it?
You can find it on their website. Hydrocephalus Association has a website to learn more about it. Hydrocephalus is actually the number one cause for brain surgery in kids. My son's had, I think we're at 4 now, and he's only 5 years old. So it is a really big deal. It's something that we really want to make sure gets the appropriate amount of funding and research behind it. And it's one of those things where a lot of people have it and they just don't talk about it because it sometimes can be one of those hidden conditions that unless you know someone close enough that you've seen them go through a shunt malfunction or whatever it might be, it's not as visible as maybe other conditions can be sometimes too. So it's definitely a big piece of our heart, and we're putting a lot of energy in trying to create more and more awareness in this area up here in Northwest Arkansas.
That's amazing. So I will put the website in the show notes for those that are listening, and you can find out more information. I'm sure they have places you can donate there as well if that's something that you're inspired to do. So thank you for sharing that part of your story, Josh. That's really important.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah, I want to get to a human. It's all human, but I really like this more human part of it, and that's just because I want people to understand that even though you are our spark and you're an amazing leader, some you still struggle with things, right? And so, is there something maybe like a challenge or a setback that you have had that has helped shape you?
Yeah, I think a big one recently, I mentioned it earlier, was when my wife stepped away from the business. When I think through our roles on the team, we worked really well. We had a great yin and yang when it came to, I was more of the idea person. I had a lot of the vision and direction, and she was willing to let me drive that side of the business. But she was more the executor. She was one that could get things done. So if we said, hey, our goal was to really lean in and learn more about this or add this to our scope of work, she was one that really helped us get those things done. And now that has stepped away, that put more responsibility onto my side. So I've had to really lean more into understanding how do I bring the execution to the team while I don't have any more time in the day, in the past than I do now to do those things. And so I am blessed to have a really great team. And part of my leadership style has really also evolved into the whole idea that everyone can be their own leader. And so, the best leader that I can be is when I can lead leaders, and giving my team the autonomy to do their jobs and to evolve in the way that they want to evolve for our clients has really been amazing to see as well. And that's when I can confidently say it's not just about me, it's about us, because we all have important roles on the team, and our clients that we work with, they tend to really see that too.
That's huge because a lot of leaders don't want that. Like, maybe I shouldn't say a lot. there are leaders out there that want to control, and it's mine, and I want to keep it safe, and it might not be intentional, right? Like it might be unintentional because it is something you're building, but to be able to say like, I'm giving you ownership in this and I want you to run with it is not only great for your team, but I think that's really healthy for you too. Like to be able to take a little bit of the pressure off just you creating everything and building everything and then telling people. But then also, so people are so different in the way they think and the way they do things. And so opening up the opportunity for more creative ideas and different types of ideas is really good.
Yeah. And we're always constantly learning, all of us are. And so failure is one of the healthiest parts of being a leader, is understanding that there's going to be failure along the way. So I think it's also important to try to create room to express to each other when you did something wrong, and to not have it be like an uncomfortable conversation. And that's a big part of this too, is if I did something wrong, my team can come and tell me, and I'm not going to take it as a hurtful thing. I'm going to take it and I'm going to learn how to work with that to become better. And once again, I think leading leaders is going to be the path to growing it in that way.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up because we've talked about this on the podcast before, and that was psychological safety. And a big piece of providing that psychologically safe environment is allowing people to fail and own it. And there's no shame around it. Like, I failed at this. It didn't work like I thought it was going to work, but now I can get up and try again and try a different way because I know it's not going to be this huge, impactful, negative event that happened.
Yeah, exactly. And it's part of the process.
Yeah, it is. I think it's such a huge part of the process, and a lot of leaders and a lot of organizations don't see failure that way.
Hmm.
I think failing fast is good. That's what I like to do. Like, let me fail quickly so I can keep moving forward. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I spend a lot of time on something and it doesn't work out. But having a different mindset around failure is really important. So that's amazing that you are implementing that there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I want to shift a little bit again and I want to kind of talk about our spark theme. And so the first question really is, what motivates you to keep doing the work you do?
I think it comes back with, there's part of it which is just seeing clients accomplish these goals that are challenging to accomplish on your own sometimes. That's helpful, but I really feel like the biggest thing is just helping create security. Security in the fact that if a client passes, knowing that we have a plan and it's going to work. Security of someone who has worked for the last 40 years, who's about to call it quits next year, and knowing confidently that they're going to be fine. Those are the things that drive a lot of it for me. The other part to it, and I hate that this is part of it, but I've also seen a lot of bad plans too. And it's not to their fault a lot of times. It's just that they don't have any direction, or they don't know where to go, or they don't have the time to go and master something. And so they find themselves building up more and more debt, or holding too much cash and not having it work for them, or buying too big of a house, or whatever it might be. And being able to be involved in just education, it's not my job to change someone's biases. It's my job to work with them. And if I can do a really good job at helping create clarity with the way that they already see and feel money, that's success for me. And that keeps me going.
And that's important because you're listening to your people and like what they need. And you're right. Like every single family and person is different, like their goals and their family shape and all of those things. So it's good that you have that motivation for that. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's a big part of it.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. What advice would you give someone who's early in their career journey?
And make sure I understand it. You're talking as a young professional, or someone in my
Yes.
career. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it for myself, but I think that it's really important just to be okay with knowing that you don't have to have it all figured out. Everyone is going to constantly be growing, and we mentioned this earlier, how once you do figure it out, it all changes. early on, a lot of people that I meet and they're in their early career, they feel like they have to have the direction. Maybe they need to accomplish this. They need to focus on buying a house. They need to focus on getting married. They need to focus on whatever that might be, and then they can plan. In my mind, I don't think it's one of those things where it's like, let's check off this box and check off that box. It's about recognizing that you were early in your career and there's a lot of things that you can do today that are going to pay tremendous dividends for you down the road. And that's not just investing. It's also about building money habits. It's about understanding that, if we put money on the credit card, that's taking away money from something else. And being able to really understand how do you maximize a world that you're in today. Because from my personal experience, the deeper you get in life, sure, you might make more money the farther you go in your career. It's not that it gets easier. You have the kids and you have the people that you manage, and then you have all these different roles and responsibilities. And so if you can understand and build your personal habits young, it's going to make it way easier to execute that on the back end for the rest of your life.
My first thought there is like, if you can build habits early, then you can carry those into your marriage, carry those into your house buying, all those things instead of, and no shame, right? Because I didn't have a financial advisor when I was young, but it's harder when you're a little bit older to restart your habits, like to undo some of the things you've done.
It is. Yeah. Once again, it's not easy to change your biases. You have to be able to keep working with it. So if you're someone that is a very conservative person, it's not smart a lot of times to just say, well, you're supposed to be more aggressive, or someone who maybe uses the credit card. It's not healthy just to tell them don't use your credit card, because that's not where they came from. You have to be able to work with it and understand how to help them become better and more efficient with who they are up to this point, and then over time that may evolve, but that's not the purpose of it on the front end.
Okay, I love this next question. And we've asked our other Sparks this question. And I just like to hear the different responses. So, if someone listening feels like they're still trying to figure out what sets their soul on fire, what lights their spark, what would you want them to know?
So that's a great question. I think there's a couple pieces to it. The idea of not giving up, trying different things, and sticking with it. Once again, the follow through is a big part of everything we do. A lot of times, the things that I love today were things that at one point I probably hated, and that's a big piece to it as well. Uh, continuing to lean into it on that side. I think I'm lucky. I fell into something that people that are in this industry, they always talk about how great this career is. And I just kind of trusted them on the front end, being like, oh yeah, sure, it is great. Because a lot of careers that I've seen, you start off relatively busy, but the deeper you get, the more successful you become, the harder it becomes, the more the more challenging it is to balance things. And I'm in a career where it's never going to be easy, but it's more enjoyable. And uh, I have deeper relationships, and I have more fun conversations, and I have uh, more knowledge to be able to compound on, and that's something that has been really part of my passion here. I think it's finding something that you can create passion around, and I know that's tough because some people might work in the corporate space. It's like, how can you create passion around spreadsheets or things like that? Well, it doesn't have to be your job technically. It could be anything. It could be maybe the team that you're working with. Maybe it's uh, the things you do after work or on the weekends that become passions of yours. I don't know what everyone's different directions are going to be, but I do think it's important to also recognize that you don't have to have it all figured out. This we all have our own journey. We're all on our own path. You don't have to follow the status quo. Do what makes you happy, and then lean in on it, and continue to follow through in those areas. And what you'll find is passion can get created from something like that.
That's so good. And what I heard you say too, and something I hear a lot of people say is it's sort of building relationships, finding people who can help you figure out those passions or who are role models for you.
Well, a lot of times, a lot of my clients I meet with, they'll make these huge career transitions mid-career, and it's because they started a career at a college or high school, and it was not the right career for them, and 10 years later, they feel like they're stuck in that career. And, it's not always a restart. It's not like you're literally starting from square one because you've built a lot of experience in whatever you are doing. But it's okay to take a step back and say, this is not what I wanted to be doing, and to go try something different. And sure, there might be a little bit of a monetary change sometimes when that happens, but it's not all about the money. It's also about the enjoyment. And once again, I think I'm blessed to have fallen into a career where I found that passion out of the internship, which was not what I was expecting. But not everyone gets the opportunity to do that, and it's okay to pivot if you need to.
You're preaching to the choir here because I did that this year. I was in higher education for 15 years. And while I know that's where I was supposed to be during that time, that season ended. And I'm, almost 40 now having to make a career pivot, not having to, choosing to. And it is challenging, but I feel like overall I have had more joy, more peace, more light while doing this. And so it's possible.
Yes,
It's possible.
and and to what you mentioned, you're not doing it alone. I think having a group that you can lean on, having people that can surround you, that which could just be family, it could be friends, whatever that might be, but being able to have people that can support you in that's how you're supposed to do it.
Absolutely. And I just want to pull out one more key piece thing that you said, and that is it doesn't have to be your job, but that sets your soul on fire. Because I like a lot of times our episodes we do talk about that, and I want to remind people it can be. I think you said you enjoy cooking and traveling. Like those things can be things that set your soul on fire that you do at home or on the weekends and or with your friends or whatever it is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your job, but finding something that you're passionate about keeps life a little bit lighter.
Yeah, completely agree.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for joining me today and congratulations again on being our April Spark. We're honored to have you as a Spark this month.
Yeah, I'm grateful and beyond blessed to have you guys in my life.
We are so happy that you're part of our collective. Where can people find you?
So you can find me on my website. It is montanezwealth.com. Montanez is spelled Montanez, wealth.com. And we're also over here in Rogers, Arkansas, just north of the Pinnacle area as well.
Awesome. And we'll put that website in our show notes as well. For those of you that follow SoulFire, or maybe you don't, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We are the SoulFire Collective on Facebook and LinkedIn, and the SoulFire Co. on Instagram. You can also find us on our website at thesoulfire.com. So thanks again for joining us for the episode of Sparks. Josh's story is really a true reminder that clarity can change everything, how we see ourselves, how we make decisions, and how we move forward. And if you're in a season where things feel uncertain or overwhelming, maybe the first step isn't having all the answers, right? It's finding a little more clarity and taking that next right step. So we're so glad everyone joined us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.